Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you first of all, to Stefan, to Hélène, to Assunta, to Pascal, and to all the other staff of the Center for Interdisciplinary Research on Montreal. Thanks also to the Etxepare Basque Institute. It's an honor for me to hold the Elvira Zipitria Chair of Basque Studies this year, and thanks of course to Olivier and to all the members of this nice building that I have just started knowing, the building 21st. So as Olivier has well said, I'm Aitor Zuberogoitia. It's a very long surname. It's a Basque surname. I'm a researcher and lecturer at Mondragon University in the Basque Country between France and Spain, and I'm also the coordinator of the Global Digital Humanities BA degree. It's a 4-year BA degree focused on humanities for social transformation. So today I will talk to you about those three concepts, three bold concepts that you can see on the slide: cooperation, social transformation, and transdisciplinarity, but in a very specific context, in an urban context. That's not new for you in the Center for Interdisciplinary Research on Montreal, because that's the city. I mean, it's your object of study. But that was a new thing for Mondragon, because as you will see along the presentation, we moved to a city, to an urban context 15 years ago, so it was a new thing for us. And regarding to today's talk, maybe the novel aspects could be our approach, because we are a peculiar university, we are a cooperative university, and then the other different thing could be our European perspective. Okay, so let's go. And this journey will have three main stops. On the one hand, as I have already said, when moving to a city environment, our university opted for transdisciplinarity, for a transdisciplinarity approach and an action research approach. And the idea was to go deeper in our commitment for social transformation. And on the one hand, in order to go deeper on social transformation, we created, on the one hand, a transdisciplinary campus for the first time in our history in Bilbao, gathering three different faculties: the engineering faculty, the business faculty, and the humanities faculty. That was one bet. And on the other hand, and in the case of our faculty, the Faculty of Humanities and Education, we launched a transdisciplinary BA degree, a 4-year BA degree on the Global Digital Humanities. So those are the three main steps of the stops of our journey. First of all, the birth of the cooperative movement in Mondragon, then the creation of the Mondragon University and its commitment for social transformation, and finally the challenge of creating a transdisciplinary campus and a transdisciplinary BA degree as well. Anyway, as this is a story about Mondragon, let's locate Mondragon in the map. This is a map of the historical Basque Country. It's divided into two main parts. One part is under French administration, three provinces here, Labourd, the Bas-Navarre, and Lasul. I'm a Basque speaker, a native Basque speaker, and regarding the language, the Basque has not any recognition in the French part of the territory. And then we've got two autonomous communities in the Spanish part of the territory. On the one hand, Navarre, maybe you know the San Fermines, the fests, Navarre, and on the other hand, the Basque Autonomous Community with three provinces there. And both autonomies have got quite a high degree of autonomy. For example, they are able to raise taxes. I mean, it's not the government of Madrid the one who raised the taxes of the citizens, but the autonomous communities. The Catalans are right now asking for that, right? And in terms of the language, regarding the language, in Navarre, in the north part of Navarre, is official, but not in the south. And in the Basque Autonomous Community, it's official in all the territory. It's co-official with the Spanish. Both are co-official, but there's a difference, as I pointed out on Tuesday. The Spanish Constitution establishes that knowing Spanish is a duty, and then if you want, you've got the possibility to learn Basque, but it's an option, not a duty. But that's another thing. Okay, and let's locate Mondragon in the map. These are the three capital cities of the Basque Autonomous Community. The capital city is Vitoria-Gasteiz, but then there are two more provinces. Bilbao is the capital city of one, and San Sebastian the other one. And Mondragon is located here in the middle of the triangle in a semi-rural setting, as you will see right now. I guess that you understand now why I refer to a semi-rural setting. These are the headquarters of the Mondragon Cooperative movement. So we are talking about a movement that gathers more than 70,000 workers, 4 divisions. It's structured in 4 divisions. We are talking also about quite a big business volume, but with a motto, and it's a bit shocking, that tell us about humanity at work. And what do we mean when we refer to humanity at work? So to answer this question, we should go back to the origins of the cooperative movement in Mondragon in the 1940s. So this man is this is a quotation of the main promoter of the cooperative Mondragon movement of Mondragon. He was a young priest that arrived to Mondragon in 1941, Jose Maria Arizmendi Arrieta. As you can see, Basque surnames are quite long. So he was destined to Mondragon in 1941. And he had a very clear idea in mind. Capital should be subordinated to labor and not the other way around. That was a very strong conviction for him. So he was absolutely convinced that cooperation, along with education, as we will see later, was the key to get that goal. So I have already said that he arrived in Mondragon in 1941 in the middle of Second World War, a very tough, rough, difficult context. The world immersed in a huge crisis. On the one hand, the Nazism, Francoism, fascism in full swing, the socialist bloc about to be established, and the crash of 1929, already very close in time, very recent. And anyway, he used to appeal more to values than to ideologies. It's obvious in the meantime that under Franco's dictatorship it wasn't allowed to appeal to ideologies, of course. But he appealed to these core ideas: human dignity on the one hand, solidarity, work, and mainly education. Education, and that's it. He started to promote these values in Mondragon, a town that had been punished after Spanish Civil War because Mondragon was a socialist town for Franco, and so they suffer the punishment when they lost the war. So he arrives to Mondragon after the Spanish Civil War. Mondragon was suffering economic hardships, a very polarized society, great social division, and he initiates an intense activity with young people, organizing all kinds of events, mainly sport events, cultural events, but mainly education. And 2 years after his arrival, the training school, the professional school, is founded, and a group of young people studied technical engineering there, then continued their studies in Zaragoza, in Spain. But they received instruction on those concepts: solidarity, cooperation, capital should be subordinated to labor, not the other way around. And once they get back to Mondragon, after finishing their technical engineering studies, they try to put their ideas in practice, and they asked Unión Cerrajera. Unión Cerrajera was the biggest company in the region at that time. It was a key factory company. They made keys, and they asked the CEOs of the company, or they suggested the CEOs of the company to distribute shares among the employees, so they could have power, be more motivated, be more productive as well, but they didn't succeed. So they received, no, you are not going to change the status quo. And so when they realized that it wasn't possible to change things from within, they decided to establish their own cooperative. That was in 1956. 5 of the engineers created Ulgor, that stands for their initials of the surnames, Usatorre, Larrañaga, Gorroñogoitia, Ormachea, and Ortubay. Because they want to put into practice the values that Arizmendiarrieta transmitted to them. A more democratic enterprise, a more democratic company, and they were real socialism. The Soviet bloc is not an option, maybe, but capitalism is not an option, so we need an alternative. Let's prove another path. Okay. These are some important milestones regarding the cooperative movement of Mondragon. The first of all, the creation of the professional school, the training school, then the first cooperative, but it's worth noting that Arizmendiarrieta had a very holistic approach. His idea was that the cooperatives should occupy a lot of spaces in society. He wanted the cooperatives to occupy all the spaces in society. So he started working on the industrial cooperatives, but then he realized that cooperatives need funding, and they create the first bank, the first cooperative bank, the Caja Laboral. And then there wasn't any social security system in Spain, and they create their own social security system that it's still carrying out, Lagunaro, a welfare health mutual for members. And then 5 years later, they realized the creation of this cooperative. They started producing fridges, but they had a catalyzed effect on the region, and a lot of more cooperatives were created, producing car components, producing washing machines, and all sorts of articles. But they realized that they were very atomized, and if they joined forces, they could be stronger. So they created the first cooperative group. Then, this is another important point, education was fundamental for them, but many students, many young people couldn't afford the education. It was too expensive, university education, higher education. So in order to address that problem, they created a student cooperative. They work in the mornings and study in the afternoons. Same thing with women. They realized that women were not present in the labor, So they created a cooperative, a women cooperative, also Lagun, founded by women, and same thing. So industry, finance, but consume is another very important sphere of society. Let's create a consumer cooperative in 1969, Eroski. Eroski is present nowadays as well. And then the last two important points, research and education. So in 1974, it was created the first research center, Ikerlan. Now there are more research centers. And in 1997, the university, it was after joining three different colleges that already existed by that time. So nowadays, what is Mondragon nowadays? It's a movement structured in 4 divisions: the finance division, the retail division, the knowledge and education division, and the industry division. As you can see, the retail division and the industry division are the ones who occupy more people and more jobs. Yeah, and data. This data is obtained by last year's annual report, 2023. As you can see, nowadays there are more women working in the cooperatives than men. Another aspect to take into account, gender plans within the cooperatives, and our commitment towards Basque language. 55 cooperatives have got plans to promote the use of Basque within the cooperatives. And this slide provides a sample of the social impact of Mondragon cooperatives in Gipuzkoa. And Gipuzkoa is the province in which the Mondragon cooperatives have greater presence. Gipuzkoa has the 8th lowest inequality rate in Europe, and according the Gini index, the territory obtains a 25.3, which is used as a reference to calibrate the level of income, and it makes a significant difference in comparison if we compare it with the other autonomous communities in Spain. So we are talking about a grassroots movement in the origin and nowadays as well, with deep cultural roots in the Basque Country, a commitment to the land, to our society and our culture and language, but in the meantime a consolidated international presence. We are talking about a global project, as you can see in the slide. So sales in more than 150 countries, 132 productive settings outside the Basque Country, 14,000 people working outside the Basque Country, and international sales account for 70%. So we are talking about an economic movement that's undeniable, but when talking about Mondragon, we like to underline that first and foremost we are talking about values. We like to say as well, to stress as well, that we are a socio-economic, an entrepreneurial socio-economic project. Of course, one of the pillars is economy. If you don't get revenues, there's no movement at all. But in the meantime, the other pillar are the values. And which values? Democracy. Every partner of the cooperative, every member of the cooperative has got one vote, and the vote of one mere worker, values the same as the people on the board of the cooperative, one vote each. Solidarity, the pay scale goes 1 to 6. Whilst, for example, in the IBEX companies, IBEX index companies, it goes 1 to 32, more or less. Yeah. And participation. We are the owners of our cooperatives. So we are responsible of the management of the cooperatives, and if they are losses, we are responsible of the losses as well. So that implies a big sense of responsibility, commitment, you know. And related to that, intercooperation. It's a very interesting and very powerful tool for the cooperatives. We've got share funds. I mean, the cooperatives structured in each division have got share funds, and when one cooperative is losing money, the other ones lend the money to them, of course, under some premises and some commitments. You have to fulfill some commitments if you receive the money. But this is a very powerful tool for us, intercooperations and relocations. If a cooperative crashes, and it happened some years ago with Fagor, for example, and we receive people from Fagor in our cooperative, I mean, because one of the principles is if one cooperative crashes, the workers have the right, if they want, to be relocated. And we receive, for example, 4 or 5 people from Fagor in our cooperative. Yeah? It's the intercooperation and inter-solidarity principle. So that's another part of the talk, and that was about Mondragon. Let's talk about Mondragon University. Mondragon University, it's part of that movement, of the cooperative movement. One of the things of the worth to underline in the cooperative movement is that it's a very decentralized movement. Each cooperative is sovereign. It's a kind of confederation. And the same thing could be said of our university. We are 4 faculties, each one is sovereign, and then we gather for some purposes. So, as I have already said, Mondragon University was created in 1997. By that time, the Faculty of Engineering already existed. In our case, the Teacher Training Education Center existed, and the business faculty, the business school existed as well. They gathered in 1997, and all these campuses in the province of Gipuzkoa were members of Mondragon University, all in small towns in semi-rural contexts. But it was in 2009, Mondragon decided to establish a new branch in San Sebastian, but it was already in Gipuzkoa. Gipuzkoa has got a very strong cooperative ethos. Cooperatives are very popular, very well known. That was not the case in the other province, in Vizcaya. And it was a big leap to move to Bilbao, the biggest city in the Basque Country, 1 million living in the metropolitan area of Bilbao. There's not a cooperative ethos or not such a strong cooperative ethos in this province, so it was a challenge. And the thing is that in 2013, we decided to move to Bilbao, and Bilbao at that time was immersed in a transition process. Do you know something about Bilbao? A building?
Yeah,
the Guggenheim Museum. Yeah. The thing is that the city had an industrial tradition, but in the 1980s it suffered a crisis. The shipbuilding industry crashed, the iron industry crashed, and as a consequence there were very high unemployment rates, a big identity crisis as well. But things started to change in the 1990s due to, on the one hand, the commitment to transform the city into a city of services, and the arrival of extra infrastructure such as the Guggenheim Museum or the underground, the metro, the subway. So in that context, in 2013, Mondragon University was approached by the City Council of Bilbao to contribute to innovation in the city, in that transition process that I have referred to. And the so-called Bilbao Innovation Factory was created, and the degree in entrepreneurial leadership and innovation was installed there. And the next big challenge was this one, to transform the island of Zorrozaurre, this small island in the Nervión River estuary. It was an industrial site, a remaining industrial site, but the industry was in decline, completely in decline. And the challenge was to transform it into a center of the knowledge industry. So as you can see in this slide, several new buildings are planned to be built, and the island is undergoing a huge transformation. So Mondragon University collaborated with that process, with the design of Bilbao AS Fabrik. AS Fabrik stands for Advanced Services Factory. And the aim was to promote advanced services for Industry 4.0, the digital economy, combining for that purpose university education and a community of people leading business initiatives and social innovation programs. So it was a very big move for our university, because it was the first time that three of the different faculties gathered in the same place, in the Bilbao AS Fabrik campus. The engineering faculty, the business faculty, and our faculty, the Faculty of Humanities and Education. So they gathered in the Bilbao AS Fabrik campus, and the new campus was inaugurated. It's brand new. It was inaugurated in January 2021. So the objective, so it's a transdisciplinary campus. For example, in the teaching rooms, you can find teachers from this faculty, from this one, or from the other one, and they are mixed. And the objective was to create an environment focused on innovation projects with companies, because some startups are also there, and intercooperative and transdisciplinary research. But why this commitment to transdisciplinarity? And I think that it's an interesting question here, because as I can see, you are quite familiar with the term. Yeah. This is the Higher Education in the World report. It was published in 2000. Well, it's published every 2 years, if I'm not wrong, but it was published in 2019. And we consider that transdisciplinarity could be, it's an aspirational goal for us, because you know that arriving transdisciplinarity, it's not easy, interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, yeah. But we consider that it's a good tool to address nowadays big challenges and complex societal programs. In this report, edited by the Global University Network for Innovation, that it's linked to UNESCO as well. This report was entitled Humanities and Higher Education, Synergies between Science, Technology and the Humanities. And it stressed the need to recognize and value transdisciplinary work and make changes in the structures of higher education institutions to guide them towards this transversality. And how do we understand transdisciplinarity in our university? As we understand it, it implies 4 main points. On the one hand, the first point, to grasp the complexity of a project through systems thinking, etc., and not just to focus on an aspect, but to try to maintain a holistic perspective. Okay. Second point, different actors and different disciplines should be involved in a meaningful way from the onset of the project. And when we refer to a project, it should be connected to a complex societal problem and try to address it. From the early definition onwards. Then third point, there should be a mix of theoretical abstract knowledge on the one hand, because we are a university, of course, but on the other hand, a case-specific and context knowledge. And fourth point, last but not least, the aim is to develop knowledge. We are a university, but also a practice, a policy for the common good. Okay? Yeah. So that was one of the key approaches when designing the campus and when designing our BA degree in the Global Digital Humanities. And another key concept for us was trying to promote the experimental learning of the students. And what do we mean when we refer to the experimental learning? So that was a core idea for us to promote the experiential learning. The idea is to make the humanities and the university itself, to make the university abandon its ivory tower and promote the humanities for social transformation. We were inspired by movements like this one, Humanidades en Acción in Barcelona, it's from the University of Barcelona, or networks such as the Experimental Humanities Collaborative Network. We like a lot this when they talk about rethinking the humanities in the light of changing technologies, so the technological thing, our increasingly connected planet, the global thing, the ongoing ecological crisis, and finally, the need to create more inclusive institutions. This network and that movement were very inspiring for us. So, in order to guarantee students' experiential learning, we worked on the concept of the university, you know. The idea is to expand the campus to the whole city in order to get profit of the potential educational potential of the city and interact with social agents. But we didn't know how to do that. How can we educate for and with the city? So in order to analyze, to explore possibilities, we organized this seminar. And it brought together European and American anthropologists, sociologists, educators, and the idea is how can we educate for and with the city, and how can we promote the university? Just to show you how are we trying to put into practice that concept, we will see a short video. So it's our first year students carrying out an activity, an exercise called Walking and Mapping Bilbao. And that is just to show you how can we try to do the university thing. And in the meantime, you can feel a bit how Basque sounds because they speak in Basque.
Egiten ari garen proiektua Walking and Mapping Bilbao deitzen da, eta azken finean da hiriaren etnografia bat egitea. Etnografia egiteko Bilboko kaleetatik ibili gara eta hainbat aspektuetan fijatu gara. Proiektua egiteko ibilbide bat egokitu zaigu, beraz 3 egunez ibilbide hori egin dugu, eta hori informazio guzti hori bildu dugu ondotik Bilbo irudikatzeko. Adibidez, habitualen gauzetako bat da, izan da kale batetik bestera dagoen bizimodu desberdintasuna. Auge iritzi batzuekin etorri nintzen Bilbora, eta auge iritziak baizik ez zirela, eta Bilbon dibertsitate asko zegoela. Proiektu honek bultzatu nagun ere konfortzonatik ateratzera, Bilbon ikasten dut, beraz egunero Bilbon ibiltzen ez, baina hor beharko izan ez Bilboko jendearekin hitz egitea, eta Bilboko jende ezberdinekin, pertsona ezberdinekin hitz egitea. Beraz, hori da bultzatu nahu, Bilbok beste ikuspegi batekin ikustera. Hiri batera joten garenean beti aurrei ditzi batzuk ditugu, eta honi esker eta Bilboko pertsonekin hitz egin ondoren jakin dugu benetako bizitza nolakoa den, ez? Segun eta ze kaletik goazen, eta hori oso garrantzitsua iruditu zait, ez soilik Bilbon aplikatzeko, baizik eta edozein hirirako ere.
So, with that idea in mind, how can we educate for and with the city? We gather a lot of anthropologists, sociologists, educators from America and Europe. We carried out a benchmarking, analyzing different syllabus and different programs of the humanities in different universities in the world. And the vast majority of experts and academics consulted agreed on the relevance of a 4-year course divided into 2 cycles of 2 years each, with its first cycle built on transdisciplinary modules focused on the analysis of social phenomena and social innovation, and with 2 itineraries in the second cycle focused on the 2 variables that most influence, in our opinion, today's society, globalization and digitization. In the first cycle, the language of instruction is Basque, but we guarantee a contact with Spanish and English as well. And in the second cycle, both itineraries are offered in English. Yeah. And when we talk about social innovation, what do we mean by social innovation, or how we understand social innovation? We like a definition by Fields et al. In the Stanford Social Innovation Review, and they say it's a novel solution to a social problem that is more effective, more efficient, more sustainable, and more just than existing solutions, and for which the value created accrues primarily to society as a whole, rather than to private individuals. It's not, I'll have an idea and I will get money from that. No, it's a different thing, okay? Yeah, so we designed a 4-year degree because in the Basque country located in Spain, that's the university studies structure. BA degrees are 4-year BA degrees, then the 1-year master. Probably here will be 3 years the BA degree, and then 2 years the master, yeah, and then the PhD. We also offered an international program on social and organizational transformations in both semesters, autumn and spring. Needless to say, we would be more than glad to receive McGill's students or to send our students to McGill. Yeah. So, last part of the talk, under these premises, the first course started in September 2020. The first cohort of students has just finished their studies last June. And next, and so that you will better grasp the essence of the degree, we will focus on the first year. As I have already advanced, it's based in social innovation. We have seen how do we understand social innovation, and it goes throughout 7 modules. 7 modules that the students explore, where students explore the different challenges of the territory from different perspectives and areas. The first module addresses the introduction to psychology from self-awareness. We started from the self. As a starting point, 4 major questions are raised to reflect on. The big questions, the usual big questions: who am I? Where do I come from? Where I am? And where I go? It's a way to establish a roadmap for the students. Then this is the introduction to personal development, development that takes place over the 4 years, because each student has got a personal tutor along the process that is in charge of monitoring their personal development. Then the second module aims to put the individual, it's like a bridge. The aim is to put the individual in contact with society, and to do this it focuses on working on strategies for the development of empathy, non-violent communication, listening, active listening, since we firmly believe that collaboration between different agents is essential to create trust and to understand and respond to the global challenges of today's complex world. And from the third module onwards, the students plunge into the analysis of social phenomena from 4 different perspectives: the identitarian perspective, the economic perspective, the technological perspective, and the perspective of sustainability. But the third module focuses on identities, culture, and migrations. And the aim is to examine the city and its citizens from a social perspective, focusing on the elements that determine the identity, such as language, religion, gender, race, biology, and genetics. After getting to know the tools that ethnography offers, the student groups go into the city, replicating the immersive experience walking and mapping by Jan Machelein, designed by Jan Machelein in the University of Leuven. And you have seen in the video how the whole activity is developed. We do it in collaboration with Jan Machelein. And then the fourth module analyzes both global society and the city itself from a critical perspective of the economic system, reviewing the current model and also examining other alternative models, among which cooperatives, of course, and the social economy stand out. And likewise, we continue within those modules trying to promote the experiential learning of the students. For example, one of the tasks of this module consists of getting in touch. The students have to get in touch with a person who is living in a situation of exclusion. Yeah. Then the hybrid intelligence module focuses on the exploration of the relationship, their relationships between human beings and or society, with digital technologies applied to cities. To do this, different examples of smart cities are analyzed, and in fact, a city is designed and prototyped through the use of tools for digital manufacturing, such as laser cutting or 3D printing, or Arduino programming, or creation of audiovisual content and augmented reality. The next module talks about habitable cities and their characteristics, and this module analyzes the main changes and social trends that are currently experiencing from a social innovation approach. The objective is to design proposals for the eco-social transition of the cities. And for this, the students' groups carry out activities to co-create ideas together with the citizens, interacting with citizens and with the local city organizations of Bilbao. And finally, in the last module, student groups create prototypes of a more sustainable and habitable Bilbao, based on the ideas generated in the previous process, in the previous co-creation process. And these prototypes are socialized through a series of public presentations that take place in the end of the course, before the agents involved, before the organizations involved. It's important to underline that this process, this project, first year project, is developed in collaboration with local organizations, and another premise is that it must be a real project. For example, and public entities also take part in the project. And for example, the project in which first-year students were involved two years ago was this project. It was a European project, a Horizon 2020 project, the T-Factor project, Participatory Futures, Co-creating 3 cities through meanwhile spaces. The aim was promote regeneration of abandoned places, using them with or providing another uses for those spaces, and so students took part in the project together with the Tecnalia, the Technology Center, the Makerspace Espacio Open, and some other agents. The Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, they had the expertise in circular economy. Recicleta, a non-profit organization of the island that promotes the use of bicycles, and a design studio that is located in the island. So they created, they designed this resource library in the island for the exchange of various materials and objects, and they also made some other things. For example, a map that indicates local companies and initiatives willing to exchange material and services and resources, and also a mobile kitchen with an oven and a large barbecue were also arranged for the preparation of meals, of communal meals, because the aim was to strengthen the community ties. And last course project was carried out with the largest social innovation agency of the Basque Country, Arantzazu, and it consisted of students designing a plan for the socialization of the SDGs, of the Sustainable Development Goals in the city of Bilbao. So, summarizing, this is the structure of the degree. A first year starting from the self, and then focusing then on the analysis of social phenomena through the lenses of social innovation and addressing social challenges. Then second year, in the first year, we focus on the self and society. And in the second year, we put the focus on the link between the self and society, organizations. So we work on organizational cultures and the prospective analysis, because the project that runs through all the second course is that they have to identify an emergent trend and then organize an event in the end of the course about that trend, and they will be in charge of the finances, in charge of the communication of the event, in charge of the logistics, and all the modules will feed the project, okay? And in the end of the course, they had a 1 week study visit to Brussels. And in Brussels, we visit, on the one hand, social innovation agencies, on the other hand, global institutions such as the European Parliament, the Commission, the Basque delegation in Brussels, etc. And they also visit digital transformation campuses and digital transformation companies dealing with digital transformation. What's the aim of the visit? The thing is that once they end the second course, they have to choose one of the 2 itineraries, digital humanities or global studies. So they do it in conversations with their tutors. And in the third year, there's a compulsory academic stay abroad in the first term. It's compulsory. They can go to Turkey, to Taiwan, or to South America, to Europe. Yeah. And then in the second term, they have their itineraries or Global Studies or Digital Humanities centered in digital transformation. And an internship is compulsory as well in the third year. They can start with the internship in second year, but it's optional. But in third year, it's compulsory. And finally, in the fourth year, the first term is devoted to the itineraries, Global Studies or Digital Humanities. And in the second term, they've got their final project, their capstone project, that must be developed within a company or organization and trying to address a real need of that company or organization. So with this I conclude my presentation. I hope that it's been interesting or you have found it interesting, and needless to say that I'll be happy to try to answer any question that may have arisen. Yeah.